Welcome back, everybody. I just want to apologize and I thank you for your patience during my absence for the last 2 weeks. I know it has been a while, but we needed some time to recover from the storm. And actually, we recovered in a record time. So I am so thankful that God brought us through and that nothing, there was no real serious damage over here. And so I'm just so thankful that my family's safe and everything. My house is safe and everything is ready to go for our next video. So let's get right into it. On this one, we're going to talk about Trump's platform and his record. His platform and his record. Unlike Harris, Trump actually has a record as a president and a platform or an agenda that is out in the open that he wants to accomplish. Now, let's get one thing clear. His agenda is Agenda 47, not Project 2025. And so you can see here on the screen, I will put for you, there's going to be Donald Trump's website that you can take a look at yourself. But there's also this as well. So why don't you go ahead and take a look.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before.
Can you reassure people whether or not that's going to happen?
Yes, ma'am. I think you heard the boos from the crowd because, look, love Donald Trump or not, does anybody speak for Donald Trump except for Donald Trump? No. So here, it's funny because the Kamala Harris campaign has nothing to actually run on. They're taking a 900-page report from a conservative nonprofit organization and saying somehow that organization speaks for Donald Trump. Again, I don't know if you've noticed, but Donald Trump speaks for himself. Project 25 has no relation to the Trump campaign. It doesn't control what we do. No one controls what we do on the Trump campaign except for the man at the top of the ticket, and that's Donald J. Trump. So
first of all, according to his agenda on Agenda 47, he wants to seal the border and carry out the largest deportation in American history. And I say amen to that. Get rid of these people. Get rid of the illegals. Make them come in the right way. There are people, illegals that are pouring into the United States that don't need to be here. And quite frankly, as far as my opinion on all of this that's concerned, I think that if anybody has broken into this country illegal, post Reagan's amnesty back in, what was that? I believe it was 1983. We granted everybody the amnesty after they had illegally entered here into the United States. Fine, what's done is done. Let's be done with that. And we could have moved forward from there, and then everybody else would had to have waited in line like normal people, and like how everybody else should do it legally to come in here to the United States. So in my opinion, I think that those who have broken in post that, I'm pretty sure it was 1983. I think that they should be rejected fully, that nobody who has broken in here illegally should be allowed to be able to remain here in the United States. That is my opinion. You can disagree with me, but you know what? I just want to say this, that I've had to go through that process of going through, and I'm pretty sure I've spoke about it before. Bringing my wife through that whole process. It is not fun. It is a lot of work, and it is difficult. And I know some people actually have had this idea of maybe making the legalization process of becoming a citizen or becoming at least a legal resident a little bit easier. And to that I actually disagree, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because at least for my wife, and at least for those other people who have struggled to try to make it here into the United States. And again, I just want to emphasize this. I'm not talking about, people who have their family members here, like a husband or a wife, and then, they have to go through some, like we're there to get rejected, because that's stupid. But But I mean, it was difficult, and I think it does need to have a certain degree of difficulty to come in here because I want people to be appreciative of the fact that they have become an American citizen or at least a lawful U.S. dwellings person. And so, for Trump to say that he wants to carry out the largest deportation in American history, I say amen to that. And just keep in mind that this was something that Biden refused to do. Well, number one, when they got in, or when he got in, he ended the stay in Mexico policy. And then, as you can see here, I will show you right here on the screen where Biden refused to reinstate the Trump border policy because Mexico doesn't want that. And you can see that Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, begged him to reinstate it, but Biden actually refused to do that. But I just want you to see that I'll show you right here on the screen as well. There's a little chart that I want you to be able to see with your eyes between the illegal immigrants that have poured into our country from the Trump administration compared to the Biden administration. You can see for yourself, like I said, it will be on the screen, and you can see how many more people have broken into the United States illegally based off of the Biden. And I want to emphasize this because remember that Harris was in charge of the border. This is specifically her failure, because Biden handed the reins over of the border over to her. And so, as you can see, that there are millions more people that have poured into the United States due to this administration's failure. And on top of that, not only have they allowed people to pour in here through our broken immigration system and through our broken border. But on top of that, there's a little article that I want to cite. This is from homeland.house.gov. Documents reveal airports used by Secretary Mayorkas to fly hundreds of thousands of inadmissible aliens into the United States via the CHNV mass parole scheme. And just to give you a little bit of, clarity into the numbers right here, it says, according to the documents, the top 15 airport locations used for the CHNV program and the number of inadmissible aliens who flew into a port of entry between January and August 2023 were Miami, Florida, 91,821, Fort Lauderdale, 60,461, New York City, New York, 14,827, Houston, Texas, 7,923, Orlando, Florida, 6,043, Los Angeles, California, 3,271, Tampa, Florida, 3,237, Dallas, Texas, 2,256, San Francisco, California, 2,052, Atlanta, Georgia, 1,796, Newark, New Jersey, 1,498, Washington, D.C., 1,472, Chicago, Illinois, 496, Las Vegas, Nevada, 483, and Austin, Texas, 171. All of these people have been allowed into the United States, and they should not be here, and Trump wants to get rid of them. And again, I say amen to that. The next thing that Trump wants to do is make America affordable again. And how is he proposing that he's going to get here? By making America an energy exporter once again, and that means not being reliant upon foreign oil. Returning manufacturing to the United States and imposing strategic tariffs, cutting taxes for workers, and as a bonus, no tax on tips and overtime, which Harris is trying to copy. And actually, at the moment of this recording, he even wants to drop the federal tax on income. And that would be massive if he could get rid of that. Because remember, back in World War I, it was Woodrow Wilson that imposed this federal tax to help fund the war, which it made sense then. And the federal government actually promised to get rid of it after the war, but they liked the money too much and they refused to get rid of it. ever since then. So we've been living under federal tax, or that income federal tax for over 100 years now. And World War I has been done for a long time. But he also wants to deregulate. He wants deregulation. Through this, with deregulation, that means that he wants to get rid of some stupid and a lot of times, I mean, let's be honest, is the government really ever efficient in what they propose and what they want to carry out? Absolutely not. And this deregulation, instead of it actually being beneficial to some, to companies, or to actually helping like meat be clean or air be clean or something like that, they go above and far beyond any means of what is actually necessary. And by this, by imposing all sorts of regulations, it can vastly increase the price of different day-to-day things like shampoo and soap and meats and food and milk and all sorts of different things. And I'm not saying that that all regulations need to be cut. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I am saying is that we could probably get rid of a bunch of regulations that are just simply bogging down the process and massively increasing the prices and inflating the prices of items that, quite frankly, don't need to be anywhere near as high as they are, and still be just as healthy, as far as clean and healthy as far as the product of what is delivered. And we would be just fine. And honestly, I think we'd probably be better off, because we'd start to realize that all those agencies, all the bureaucracy, it probably doesn't need to be there. But hey, that would be great. But anyway, I'm all for deregulation. Deregulation is something that helped out during the Reagan years. It helped, and you know what? Because of those price cuts, it helped bring the economy. Honestly, having a booming economy for 20 years, back in the 80s and into the 90s. And that is all because of the Reagan tax cuts as well as the Reagan deregulation. And to bring it back here once again under a Trump administration, to have more tax cuts and more deregulation, that would be such a huge help to the American people. On screen, I'm going to have an article showing what Trump's record is on this. Trump said that he was going to drill, and he did. He did last time under his 2016 administration. You can see here, it's according to Reuters, that under Trump, the drilling permits on federal land soared under him. And we can see what Trump plans to do in the future. And so I have a little montage prepared for you. So why don't you go ahead and take a look for yourself.
The biggest problem you have is people go to college. I mean, that's great getting out Magna. That's fantastic. That means real smart. But people go to college, they work, they borrow money, they're up to here. They're up to their neck in debt. And then they get out and they can't get a job. I mean, it's such a massive problem. They can't get a job because our really good jobs are gone, and they've gone to other countries. And so many other countries are making our product. I want to see the day when you could get those great marks in that incredible profession, which you love probably, or you wouldn't have been so high up in the class, right, at the top. But I want to see the day when we can have those jobs back in this country at the highest level. I want to see the day when Apple will make their iPhones in this country instead of making them in China and Vietnam and all over the place, okay? And believe me, if I'm president, that's going to happen. And I use Apple as an example. But in all fairness, Apple makes all its products all over the place. They're not making them here, mostly in China. Now Vietnam, which is becoming very strong for this. They're going to start making them here. They're going to start making them here.
Of all goods, we will end the Biden-Harris war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to start that day one. Here is the deal that I will be offering to every major company and manufacturer within our country. I will give you the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs. I will cut your energy in half. The lowest regulatory burden and free access to the best and biggest market on the planet Earth. but only if you make your product here in America and hire American workers for the job. You know, part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime.
Regarding Social Security taxes for seniors, which we've talked about a while, experts say that the policy could increase the deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work in your view?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people. They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in. We're not going to charge tax to Social Security, the seniors. We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple.
The other thing that Trump is wanting to do is to defend our Constitution and fundamental freedoms, including the freedoms of speech, religion, and the right to bear arms. Let's look at what Trump's record is on this, shall we? According to The Guardian, which I have printed right here. Take a look. Okay, here we go. According to The Guardian, this is an article titled Mark Zuckerberg Says White House Pressured Facebook to Censor. This says, this is verbatim from the article, the Meta boss, Mark Zuckerberg, has said he regrets bowing to what he claims was pressure from the U.S. government to censor posts about COVID on Facebook and Instagram during the pandemic. Zuckerberg said that White House official in Trump's administration. No, I'm just kidding. It's Joe Biden's administration. They repeatedly pressured Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, to censor certain COVID-19 content during the pandemic. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. He said in a letter to Jim Jordan, the head of the U.S. House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, I believe the government pressure was wrong. And so we see what was Trump's record on this? Well, he doesn't really have anything, which is a good thing because he never censored anybody. He never threw anybody in jail. He never tried to suppress anybody's speech. He never even tried to even when people vehemently disagreed with him, he never tried to censor or to silence them, unlike what our current administration does. Now, remember, this is straight from the Biden administration where they were censoring people's free speech. This never came from Trump. Even now, Trump is still not calling for the censoring of liberal talking points or even ideology, even though they've tried to kill him twice. There's one party that wants to ban guns. There's one party that wants to ban free speech. There's one party that wanted churches to shut down longer during the pandemic. There's one party that wants free and fair elections because I truly, truly believe this, that they would, and I mean they as in the Democrat Party, would not be able to win if it was a free and fair election because they are not as popular as they believe. And I will actually have more on this at the end of this video. But now, in the spirit of fairness, what I didn't like what Trump did, he did make a small breach, but it was a breach nonetheless. And you can see this according to CNN. I have the article right here. But Trump did ban bump stocks, and this was in response to the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. I don't like that. I think he did make a breach on our Second Amendment. It was a small breach, but it was still one nonetheless. I don't like that he did that. I don't like that it was a reactionary thing to try to appease perhaps his opponents. The truth is that our Second Amendment is what is protecting us. It protects us from crazy people. It protects us from the government. And no, if you look at the Second Amendment, it wasn't just for hunting. The Second Amendment meant that we can have all sorts of weapons to protect ourselves, particularly from the tyranny of the government. The fourth thing that Trump wants to do is to prevent World War III. And during his tenure as president, he was the only president in modern American history where there were no new wars. Remember, a year ago under Trump, we didn't have Ukraine being invaded by Russia. We didn't have Israel versus Hamas. Hamas and, in fact, even ISIS was defeated by Trump. They were, particularly Hamas, was too afraid to act during that time because they knew that Trump is a powerful president, and by extension, of course, he strengthened our military, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and of course, people were afraid to act out against him because Trump is, I mean, he's even said it himself. He's kind of a crazy guy. And no, I'm not saying that as a negative, but it's kind of nice to be able to keep our enemy leaders on their toes and wonder, man, what is this guy going to do next? But not only did he not start any wars or any new wars, but he also kept his promise to withdraw the troops from Afghanistan and Iraq, a promise that has long been overdue. And remember, Barack Hussein promised that he was going to do it, and he never did. The next thing that Trump wants to do is to end the weaponization of the government against the American people. Now, while we cannot tell the future for certain, we can always look back to the past and take a look at the track record, because he actually has one, and make some safe assumptions about what the person might do in the future. And in this case, we can look back at Trump, who never jailed a political opponent. Let me repeat that again. He never jailed a political opponent. He could have, and in my humble opinion, he had every right to throw the Hildebeest, aka Hillary Clinton, into jail, and he did not, because she was so incompetent. Do you remember that stupid argument, when she went before Congress and she goes, "Oh, what does C mean? Cookie?" Oh man, what an idiot. She knew full well that it meant classified. And if she didn't know that, then there's only one of two things that you could chalk this up to. It's either pure and utter incompetence and that she's just stupid and shouldn't be there, or she's a crooked liar. So there's no in between. But beyond that, not only did we have that, but I mean, take a look at this. And now I want to advise, before I actually do put it on screen, this is the whole thing with Kathy Griffin, where she held up the decapitated head of Trump. So, if you don't like that kind of stuff, then turn away or, flip your phone over. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just going to put it up here for a few seconds. But take a look at this. This was done during his administration, where Kathy Griffin held up a decapitated head of Trump on Twitter. It was called Twitter at this time, and no, he didn't even jail her for or any of his political opponents, in spite of the hatred that he had received and still endures to this day. Now, the next thing that Trump wants to do is strengthen and modernize our military, which is very, very important. Now, for this, I'm actually going to go, and I'm going to take a few scenes, I guess. It'll be a montage of an undercover operation done by Crowder's team. And so I'll actually let you take a look. So why don't you take a look here at the montage.
Here he is talking about DEI and, what Donald Trump would do with it.
You got a hard time about it at work at all?
About diversity, equity, inclusion? Yeah, of course. I think it's a waste of time. Except my boss. I mean, the Lisa, Admiral. She doesn't think it is. She likes it. But secretly, everybody else is like, eh.
What's that look like in the military?
Diversity, equity, inclusion? It depends. I'll say it again. It depends on who's the president. If Trump's the president, then there is no more DEI. It goes away. He said he's going to shut down the office at the Pentagon. It'll go away.
Now we find ourselves at an impasse where nobody's joining the military.
There are a lot of people joining the military right now?
No, our recruiting is down. I get why, so like right now, this is crazy to say, but like we will take people. You don't have to have a GED. You don't have to have a high school diploma. And your ASVAB score, like your aptitude score, has to be above a 10 only.
What's the standard? Or what was the standard?
It was 50, I think, maybe, and that's like basic. Like base 10 is like putting your name on the test.
What does the U.S. look like in 5 years?
As far as militarily, or because I can only really speak to you on a military front, right? I will let you know after this election.
What are the two ways it may go?
If we have a Republican in office, it will bolster our military. If we have a Democrat, it'll continue to just be the make do with what you have, you know, kind of, you know, slap things together, put duct tape on it, that kind of stuff, poor training, that kind of thing. And I'm a Democrat. So, I'm just, from a strictly military standpoint, Republicans are always better for military.
I hope you caught that where he said under a Democrat, our military, you know, they just have to limp along, put Band-Aids on, hope everything works. But under a Republican, that the military usually is strengthened. And of course, obviously under Donald Trump, it totally was strengthened last time, and he vows to do that once again. And it's actually very good for the military once a Republican gets into office, and the Democrats have a tendency to weaken it. But don't forget that under Trump and his administration, that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS, was killed. Take a look.
He was a sick and depraved man, and now he's gone. Baghdadi was vicious and violent, and he died in a vicious and violent way as a coward, running and crying. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place.
I love that he says that he died like a dog. I love it because that's exactly what needs to happen to our enemies. The next thing that Trump wants to do is to keep the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. Now, this one is easy because the stronger the US dollar is, the more likely it is for people to invest into the United States and to show a healthy demand for US-made goods and services. Under Trump, the dollar was stronger than under the Harris and Biden administration. And I will show you this article on screen, that why a strong dollar in America, or why a strong dollar is in America's best interest. And so you can see this right here. But of course, the stronger our dollar is, the more people are going to be interested from overseas of wanting to put their money into our economy. And that's always a good thing. And not to give that type of an economy over to our enemies such as China, or to help strengthen and bolster their economy, but rather we'd rather have that type of health and growth over here. But it's not going to happen under a Harris administration, and obviously, I mean, take a look at what the Biden administration has done. It's man, he's inflated our dollar and pushed down a lot of the trust in our health, in the health of the dollar. And Trump, obviously, as we've seen, in our own lives, it was only 4 short years ago of how much buying power we had and how much stronger the dollar was, especially compared to the Obama administration. Number 8, he wants to cut federal funding to schools that are pushing the CRT, or critical race theory, gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content to our children. Now, I will show you on screen, there's a video that's going to show a little bit of the content of the books that have been banned, particularly here in Florida, and that Trump would actually like to see banned all across the United States. So why don't you take a look? Actually, I decided against posting the video because of how horrifically pornographic it was. And before I begin to give a little bit of an explanation on the video, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds before I go in. You can skip to the next part, but this part is going to be horrifically grotesque and disturbing. So if you don't want to hear it, that's fine by me. If you don't believe me, there's going to be the link in the description that you can go and check for yourself and see just how just putrid and disgusting, this garbage that and just degenerate that these books are. And these are the types of books that we're trying to get banned, or that rather that Trump is trying to get banned from schools. So 5, 4, 3. Remember, if you don't want to listen, I'm giving you the countdown. 2, 1, 0. So the types of books that are being banned right now, it has it's teaching boys and girls how to masturbate, and it actually has pornographic descriptions within these books of, detailing the vagina and the penis. It has stories of boys looking at men and wondering why their penis is so big and hairy. There's other stories showing girls how to, of course, pleasure themselves. There's stories of boys going to a camp and all group masturbation, and they all have to ejaculate into a single bottle or cup together. It's teaching kids how to had to have anal sex, and to start with the use of butt plugs. I mean, it is just there's even more, but it is just so horrifically disgusting. And just to give you an idea, it teaches boys how to give full-grown men fellatio. It teaches all of this stuff, and it's so abnormal and unnatural the way that they go and describe this stuff. It even goes into detail about teaching kids, like, if they have stretch marks, or I believe it was tattoos, or it might have been cellulite. It might have been a different one, but definitely it was the stretch marks and tattoos, to teaching them how to cover it up before they go and they begin sexting other people. It was just horrific things that they were teaching in schools, mind you. These are the books that are in public schools that they are teaching to children, and these are the kinds of books that the Republican Party wants banned, and that the Democrat Party wants to promote. Now, these are the kinds of books that Trump wants to ban. This is what what his platform wants to ban. This has nothing to do with an ideological subjugation of children. Rather, we're freeing them from the ideological subjugation and indoctrination that the left wants to bring upon them. I have a 2-year-old, and I can promise you that the last thing on my child's mind is anything sexual in nature. Rather, it's always, when can I play with my toys? Do I have to take a nap? Can I have a snack? Do I have to go potty in the potty? I mean, there are all these normal things that go through a toddler's mind. These sickos, they want to place these sexual things, these indoctrinations. They want to sexualize and indoctrinate our children with these disgusting and sick books. And any type of person that pushes this crap on our kids should be in jail. And on the other hand, the critical race theories that are pushing this revisionist history and teaching our kids to hate our country, they're almost just as bad. These people that are pushing this false narrative of victimhood upon our kids, that they have it so bad, they have it so rough, if you're of a certain melanin, or if they're a girl because of past injustices, this is all just BS, and they know it. They're poisoning the minds of our next generation with all of this crap. Show me one country in the past that is not steeped in injustices and that is just as pure as the wind-driven snow. Show it to me, because it's a crock and they know it. You know it. If their parents are wanting to teach the kids about that, I say those poor kids, but it's the parents' prerogative to do so. But for schools to have this push on all of our kids that go through their doors, that's absolutely wrong. They shouldn't they shouldn't teach kids of what political party to identify with. They shouldn't teach kids, certainly not about the revisionist theory of the wrong history that they're trying to push on our kids nowadays. And they absolutely have no business teaching anything of a sexual nature to our children, especially when it comes to this gender euphoria crap. And yeah, I mean, it's just sick, this stuff that they want to, I don't even want to, say it. I know that woman in the video said it, but I don't want to say it because it's just sick. The next thing Trump wants to do is to keep men out of women's sports. So here, why don't you take a look at this? It was a humorous little jab that I have there, but of course, it's actually kind of true. Men should not be participating in sports with women because, for the most part, men are far stronger. We're faster. We have more bone density. We have more muscle mass. We have more testosterone. And if none of this mattered, then why was Khalif or Imane Khalif so controversial back in the 2024 Olympics? Some people who were defending Imane, I don't even want to say the gender or whatever. The people who would come out and defend Imane would try to compare Imane to, somebody like Michael Phelps? Yeah, Michael Phelps, the swimmer. And, say, well, look at the biological advantages that he has because he has the wingspan of an albatross and he's able to, to swim, so fast and so far because of it. And then you want to compare this to whatever Imane Khalif had, but had a wild amount of testosterone and was able to just completely dominate those other women that Imane was boxing against. And so on screen, I just want to show that there are biological differences. You could take a look here, and of course it should have been there. And also, I do want to re-emphasize that all these links are going to be in the description below, so you could go read them at your leisure, and you could read them through thoroughly, and you can disagree with me or agree with me or whatever you want to do, but it's all going to be there. And of course, this is going to be on the screen, but there are differences between men and women. Men, we do have a tendency to be stronger and faster. That's why keeping them out of these physical sports against men and keeping men, of course, out, or I should say that keeping men out of these sports against these women, it's important because the women need to have a level playing field, a equal playing field against each other. And it's not fair when a man pretends that he's a woman, goes in there and absolutely dominates in the sport or whatever that he wants to dominate in as he's charading as a woman. So no, it's I mean, keeping men out of women's sports. And by the way, there's one question I want to ask. Is why is it that we always see men going into women's sports and dominating, and we don't see women who transition into men go into men's sports and dominate? That's just a little question I have. And the last thing that I want to bring up here is to secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. He says, quote, "We will implement measures to secure our elections, including voter ID, highly sophisticated paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and same-day voting. We will not allow the Democrats to give voting rights to illegal aliens," end quote. Now, for those who might say that voter ID is racist, I have a few questions for you. How do people drive legally then? An ID, or in this case, a driver's license. How do people buy alcohol? An ID. How do people buy cigarettes? An ID. How do people do anything that is age prohibitive? Through a freaking ID. So don't give me that crap that people, that Latinos or blacks, they don't know, remember Biden's famous line, they don't know how to get online to get in line, or in this case, they don't know how to go and get an ID for what's necessary for all of our day-to-day lives. Because quite frankly, to me, that is very, very insulting that you would discredit our intelligence, that we would be unable to get something as simple as an ID. The only people that acquiring an ID would be prohibitive and a challenge would be those who are here in the country illegally. This has nothing to do with the legal immigrants because they have a boatload of documents that would help them obtain an ID or a license. And I can say this with confidence because my wife and I went through this when I brought her here to the United States. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this. Now, cut the crap when you say that we can't do elections in one night because, or even at most with one day, because we have more technology than ever available at our fingertips than any other era in history. And just up until, 2016, all of a sudden we lost the ability to sort this out in one day. Man, give me a break. That is asinine, and I cannot believe that we're here discussing this. We need to be able to get this done. We need to have a safe and secure election. Now remember that there is one side that is wanting secure elections. There is one side that wants to have voter ID. There's one side that wants to have this. And there's another side, the Democrats. They're saying that we're going to disenfranchise people through voter ID, which is it's a lie. It's a lie. It is such I get so angry when I think about this because we shouldn't have to talk about this because this is nothing but a lie about disenfranchisement. Nobody's going to get disenfranchised. You have to have an ID. Having a voter ID is not a big deal. And these people pretend that it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, going through the DMV is agonizing, but they pretend like it's an impossible step for anybody to be able, well, let me put it this way. They pretend it's an impossible step for people who are brown or black to be able to get it. But I guess white people and Asians are able to get it easier. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, we absolutely need to get this done. Now, this is the last video that I'm going to show before the election because of time constraints. I'm not going to be able to finish up the dive on Vance before the election, and by then it will actually be too late. So I'm going to return to the Founding of America series then. That being said, I actually have one more thing that I would like to show you before I finish this video, so please have a listen.
And you were being very positive earlier, and I wish to be positive as well, but do you really think that the 2022 and 2024 elections are really going to go towards the Republicans?
I don't know how they're going to go. That's one thing.
I don't think so.
That the closest thing I see is the Democrats blowing what they've won here by assuming mistaken things. Things are completely wrong that explains their victory. I don't think they have the ability to be honest with themselves about how unpopular they are in a lot of ways. I don't think they have the ability to understand that most people that voted for Biden did so just because there's a D next to his name. I don't think anybody else could have come close. I don't think with the total attempt at destroying him that was made for 4 years, it was consistent. It was relentless. It didn't take a day off. It happened multiple times a day. And for Donald Trump to remain as popular as he is unlike anything we have seen in American politics in our lifetimes. There's nothing that we can compare this to. He's brave. He's popular because finally there was somebody in American politics who happens to agree with 75 million Americans. The Republican Party was never able to produce such a person. They never were. They haven't wanted to. Donald Trump did it on his own. Now you stop and think. If you're looking for reasons to be optimistic, you're looking right at 74 to 75 and maybe more million of your fellow citizens who are not going anywhere. Michael, at the same time, I am optimistic because we live in America. We got 75 million people who are not satisfied with this. They're not going to put up with this. They're not going away. We got a guy who leads those 75 million, Trump, who's not going away. Pretty sure. Don't know what he's going to do, but he's not going away. They're going to try to put him in jail. They're going to try to convict him. They're going to try to make sure he can't run for office again because they are scared to death, folks, which is another reason to be optimistic. They're scared to death of the guy, and he's not even, as far as they're concerned, he's not a factor anymore, except that he is. Because he's still walking and breathing, and that scares the heck out of them. But 2022 couldn't begin to predict to you what's going to happen. The only thing I will say is that I firmly believe the Democrats are going to overshoot because they're going to misjudge their popularity. They're going to misjudge how much they're loved. They are certainly going to misjudge how much people support their policies. This is not a socialist country. It's not a communist country. It's not even close. So they're going to blow this opportunity by taking too big a bite at it. They're going to misjudge their popularity. They're going to misjudge the people that voted for them and why. And I don't know when it's all going to come to grips with them, but it will happen.
And how prescient Rush was with that prediction. The Democrats will, and I believe they really have misjudged their popularity. And this has blown their chance by picking Harris. Ugh. Anyway, I believe that the day has come in the form of Harris. Now, folks, this is a golden opportunity for us to be able to seize the White House, the Senate, and the House from the Democrats. This is our opportunity to implement that better economy, to stop the border crisis, to deport the illegals, to secure our election, and to have election integrity. But we all have to go out and vote. It doesn't matter if you're in a liberal crap hole state like California, and it seems like it's already going to be going, a Democrat blowout there. Go and vote. Help the popular vote. Stop the complaining and the moaning and get ahead of these people who are trying to get rid of the Electoral College. Let's preemptively get ahead of their arguments and let's blow them out of the water in this election. Let's show them that we can win in both the Electoral College and that we can win in the popular vote as well. Let's save our country and let's save our children's future. Go and vote.